Welcome back to our program. I'm right here with Prakash Swami, a veteran journalist of 35 years. And for the past 14 years, he's been living in New York. He's here to talk to us about his experiences of what it means to be a journalist in other parts of the world. Prakash, you have been very interestingly moved into also being a judge of the Emmy shows. Now, I know that you're the only Indian who ever, actually made that grade. Let's talk about that now.
Yeah, I was actually in touch with the mainstream American media because I'm part of the Foreign Press Center. I met somebody who was a very senior television journalist, and he was telling me that the Emmys are looking for a multiculturalism. Because nowadays, US is full of multicultural.
That's right.
They want people from different religion, different race, different country to be part of the show. So he asked me, would he be interested in joining Emmy, first as a member of the New York Academy of Television Arts and Sciences. I said, I'd love to do. Then he sponsored my name because you ought to be recommended by a member to join as a member of the association. Then I joined. After a couple of months, he called me and said, do you have any experience in television? I said, no. And I have only print. And they said, in that case, we want to consider you as a judge. Please give me a resume. So I gave it, and I've been judging the Emmys for the past 4 years. And I do a lot of, in different levels, they asked me to judge the television programs, which ultimately end up getting the Emmy Awards.
Right. Is it interesting to do that kind of thing for you?
Absolutely.
How long does it involve? How much time gets taken?
When they tell me that the Emmy judging is about 10 o'clock in the morning, when I go there, I have to sign a confidential note. Like I'm not supposed to reveal what are the programs I'm seeing, who's there, how much grades I'm giving. Absolutely is confidential. Then they give me all the complete whatever for the day, 2-3 hours. Then there's a whole bunch of questionnaire, about 100 questions. I had to rate the interviewers, the composer, the talk, the mannerism, the background, the sound, the color, everything you name it, my opinion, I had to give it. And ultimately it goes at different level. I judge the junior most level, I judge the final level, which gets the award.
Right. How many judges on the panel?
They're normally more than 2.
Okay.
But we're not supposed to discuss with each other about our verdict.
Right. So you're really saying here that in no way are any of these awards ever really fixed?
No, absolutely not.
Absolutely not. Okay. Your work with the United Nations, it's quite up your street, isn't it? Because you do like the whole area of diplomacy and foreign relations. Is this the right thing you feel for Prakash Swami to be doing?
Well, I was doing basically Indian politics when I was in India.
Right.
Political parties. I was a hardcore political journalist.
Indeed.
Even attacked by some of the politicians. From
I know that, Prakash.
And
yes.
I was mentioned in the Committee to Protect Journalists as a guy who was being knocked down. But the kind of journalism I'm doing now is, I met with a lot of heads of states. For example, when in 2000, when General Musharraf came to UN, I stopped him and asked a question. He said, everything except Kashmir. I said, everything, not everything, only Kashmir.
Right.
So I had a quote from him about Kashmir. And I get a chance to meet all the world leaders, whether big or small or different countries. That way I get an understanding what's going on in the world.
Yeah, that's a whole fascination in itself for people who are journalists, the kind of people one ends up meeting. You brush shoulders with world leaders, up close and personal. What are they like?
Absolutely. For example, when you go to the delegates' dining lounge in the UN, you'll be surrounded by prime ministers and presidents. I mean, the journalists will be there. So you go and talk to them. Sometimes our own foreign minister who sits with me, shares a lunch with me, he'll be giving a lot of inside information, which may not be available to other journalists. So this kind of experience helps me a lot to know. I developed friendship with the president of Guyana, Mr. Bharat Jagdev, who happens to be an Indian origin.
Right.
And he asked me, I want to come to Chennai because I realized my grandmother is from Chennai. Can you help me? My other good friend is Kamala Prasad, who has become the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago. She's of Indian origin. So this experience really helps me a lot.
Right. You're involved with teaching and being with this institute in Bangalore. As you sit and look in on what's happening, are you entirely satisfied with the sort of education we are getting now in India in terms of the media and media education specifically?
I think it's really improved a lot. The first time I went to the Madras University in 80s, just to know, we had the journalism in Britain in 1800s. Now that's totally changed.
Yes, that's right.
In fact, I think we had a very good professor called Professor Josephine in Madras University.
Just retired recently.
Just retired, and she always used to say, Prakash, I wish we should change the syllabus. And when I became a Senate member of the Madras University, thanks to Governor Channa Reddy, my first question at the Senate was, please change the journalism curriculum, and they did change. And of course, now it's very good. We have fantastic universities, colleges, private universities, which are really Asian College Journalism, MOP Vaishnava. They're doing a good job.
Right. Prakash, however, there is something to be said for experience when it comes to journalism. Do you believe that a student can be taught to be a good journalist, or is it just the theory that shows a young person the way to go, the way to write a story, the way to report? At the end of the day, do you not believe that the experience that one brings to the table plays a large part in your success?
Absolutely. I did my journalism in India before joining the Hindu, but I was understudy to somebody in the Hindu. Mr. Parsardi was a police reporter. So he took me to police area and said, this is what is a crime, this is what is mortuary, this is what is murder, this is homicide. So I learned everything from him. So you need to have an understudy. For example, in political reporting, I was working at Giant of the Hindu. You need somebody to teach you the basic stuffs in journalism. That really helps you a lot. But education is important to know at least the working knowledge of the journalism.
Right. It's important for me to now ask you your views on press freedom, the way it exists in our country, the way it exists in other countries. And you, with your experience, know how it does there, how there is such a curbing of press freedom in many parts of the world today. What's your opinion about this, Prakash?
Yeah, in India we have a lot of press freedom. In fact, I'm very proud to say I was in the Foreign Press Center in Washington a couple of months ago, maybe last month. And my friends called me and said, the Indian media is ripping the politicians apart, exposing the corruption. And I don't think even the television or the print media in the US would be capable of doing that. And they were so happy. And I echoed the sentiment and said, press in India is absolutely fearless. They are really the job up to the mark. And whenever there's wrong, they don't mind. Maybe there may be some flaws. I mean, I'm not saying everything is perfect,
right,
but the way in which the politicians are getting exposed, the wrongdoers, whistleblowers, I think the Indian television and the print media are doing an excellent job compared to even some of the developing nations.
Right. When you and I started in journalism around the same time, there were so few of us probably, and therefore people tended not to quite speak out. Now you have the confidence of numbers and you have the strength in numbers. So would you think that you can attribute that one quality also, and that one factor, to the fact that there's this outspokenness in the press now? People come out, say what they want. Journalists are quite fearless, as you yourself said, and I completely agree with that. Is it because there are so many more people around now?
Yes, we have so many television channels. And I remember editor of the Indian news agency saying, previously 20 years ago, we used to start filing stories at 10 o'clock in the night to catch the morning edition,
yes,
and 8 o'clock in the night to catch the evening edition. Now the news agencies have to file stories every 10 minutes.
Oh.
That's the kind of stories. Then because of the television and the updates of news, there are more journalists, more younger journalists. Same time, I feel they should do their homework properly, because sometimes I feel the younger journalists have not done their homework before they go for the interview. Like you and I, we study completely the background before we go and talk to them. But sometimes I find that is not happening. And the side of politicians, some of the politicians complain that the journalists come and ask them questions which are totally irrelevant.
But of course, politicians don't like any questions from any journalist that are uncomfortable questions. And we have to agree on that. They just don't want it. They're fine when you're asking them something that's pro, whatever they're doing. But the minute it gets a bit rough under the collar, then they don't want it. They don't want us. And in the Indian context, we are constantly being blamed for everything that happens. The minute there's a problem, it's the press that's misquoted it. It's the press that's changed the way people think. Don't you think that's our responsibility?
Yeah, my question, the previous answer is, for example, I can't go and ask about a foreign relations to commerce minister.
True.
I can't go and ask about health to a industry minister. This is what some of the journalists are doing, and that is what they are.
Yeah, it should be relevant, right?
Relevant,
yes,
not about the thing. But about the second point you mentioned, yes, you're right. the media is definitely have to tune itself to the current realities of life.
Right. Prakash, asking you to hold on. And you out there, my viewers, you please hold on for just a very short while. Get right back with you here on We Connect.